Hi, hope you're doing well today. It's been a while since we've been in this shutdown mode now. A lot of people are going through the stages of grief because we've lost so much there. We've lost jobs, we've lost our way of life, at least temporarily. It's a lot to deal with. It's a real challenge to move forward, especially when there's very little to distract us. It's a matter of being stuck and focusing on the negatives. Hopefully we've turned off the TV by now, because all the TV has been doing these past few weeks is giving us bad news, bad news, bad news, repeating the numbers of people stricken by the disease, the number of people who are dying. It's been pretty grim. But we don't need to focus on that. So it's a good idea to turn off the news programs and look at something else. Comedies are good. Comedies are good because laughing stimulates the good chemicals in your body. Laughing stimulates your immune system. Laughing elevates your mood. And these are both things that we need in order to combat this disease. What's really important in combating disease and combating sickness is what's happening with your spirit, your mood, your body, your immune system, and that is not done through ingesting lots of different chemicals, artificial chemicals to try and stave off the symptoms. The best thing to do is to be strong spiritually, mentally, to make yourself much more healthy, much stronger. What's questioning me, or what my question is, do you realize how powerful you really are? That is something that I think is something we need to be aware of, very much so in this situation. We've all been isolated now, so we're being forced to think, we're being forced to be with ourselves, we're being forced to get to know ourselves. And part of that process is to begin to understand who and what you really are. You are the Son of God. No question about it. You are the Son of God. Infinite intelligence is all there is. God is all there is. Everything that is made from the energy, the conscious energy of God, of infinite intelligence, of universal consciousness, of the great universal mind. And so, as Jesus told us many times, the kingdom of God is within you. You and God. God and I are one, and God is greater than me. The Father and I are one. Jesus told us that we are powerful. Ye are gods. Jesus told us that whatever that was that he did, we could do as well and do more besides. What did he mean by that? He meant that we were as powerful as he was, because we too are the children of God. It was not that he was separate from us, he was one of us. That is key to remember. Jesus was one of us, and because of who he was as an example, the exemplar, we too are that as well. I'm recruiting at this point, looking for people who are willing to take a step forward to enhance and empower their own spiritual selves. Looking forward to people who are willing to take the steps necessary through discipline and focus to become more spiritually powerful. Why? Because they are going to help us to change the world. Because since we are all God, since we are all connected, since we are all one, those who elect to do the work necessary to rise above will then, through their energy, influence everyone around us, everyone around them, who will also rise. And it's very key that we all begin to rise spiritually, because there's somewhat of a battle going on. The battle being that the secular world is trying to run everything and diminish spirituality big time. They're trying to suppress and make fun of those of us who worship, those of us who believe in God, those of us who are spiritual. The rise of atheism is something that we must be aware of, and there's no need for them to have all that power. Now, facing them and trying to physically fight it out is not the answer. It's not the answer. Physically fighting it out is not the answer. We only win through love. We only win through taking the world higher, not lower. So all these acquisitive people, all these people who are grabbing everything they can, power and money and control, they are working out of fear, and as a result, they're pretty nasty about it sometimes, but they can be beaten, not by hammers and sickles and torches, but by love. By us rising above. And for us to be effective, very effective, we have to be disciplined. One of the things that the Buddhists deal with is what they call monkey mind. That is, the mind is always chattering. Our minds are always saying things to put us down, to control us. You're too young, you're too old, you can't do that, you can't do this. What makes you think you're worthy? All these things are going on in our minds continuously. 30,000 to 50,000 messages a day are being thrown at us from internal sources, our mind, trying to diminish us so it can control us. Whereas our spiritual selves need to rise and take over and handle that mind. So I'm reminded of Mark, the book of Mark, chapter 4. There's a series of verses 33 through 41 in which Jesus has been teaching his disciples the spiritual lessons that he has learned. Usually when he's talking to the public, he's talking in terms of parables. But with his disciples, he doesn't speak in parables. He speaks directly. He explains to them what he's talking about and what the parables mean, etc. So on this particular occasion, he's teaching from a boat, Mark 33. He's teaching from a boat to the masses. And when he's finished, he says to his disciples, let's go to the other side of the body of water, where we can now deal with our private lessons, so we can deal with the truth directly, so that you too can go out and begin to teach. You need to understand what this is about. So they begin to travel across, and there are those also, some smaller boats accompanying them, who also want to learn. So it's not just the disciples that are going across the water. There are other people following them, but not the masses. They have to get away from the crowd mentality. They have to get away from what everybody, the status quo, and what everybody else is thinking, and move into this cloistered, very serious and disciplined teaching that Jesus has for them. So they start across the water, and suddenly a storm rises up and threatens everything. Winds and the waves are threatening to swamp the boat. And Jesus is in the corner taking a nap, totally ignorant of all this going on in there. They're so terrified they wake him up and said, "Lord, Lord, do you not care about us? We're about to die." And Jesus jumps up and looks around and says, "Peace, be still. Peace, be still." And everything settles down. Peace, be still. So what did Jesus do there? He who is highly disciplined, he who is very powerful, had control of the situation. But what was the point of this story? The point of the story is, let's get away from the personalities. Let's get away from the Jesus and the disciples. These are people. What if they are symbols? Jesus symbolizing the higher consciousness. The disciples symbolizing us. The water symbolizing, as it does in many mystical teachings, the consciousness. Water with deep consciousness. But on top of the water is our general waking consciousness. And when we try and go to the other side, when we try to elevate ourselves and get away from the crowd mentality, get away from what everybody else believes and what everybody else is being told, and get into the depths of the teaching, get into the real power of the teaching, there is going to be some resistance. Monkey mind will rise up and throw everything it can at you to discourage you from moving forward, to discourage you from disciplining yourself, to discourage you from wresting control from that monkey mind, wresting control from that chatterbox that is always going on your head, and giving yourself the power. See, because power depends upon judicious use of it. When you are always chattering, because your word is power, because your word controls what is going on around you, your thoughts control what is going on around you. If that is always chattering, if that is always spouting, then there's no power there. The power is being expended and lost. What has to happen is discipline, clarity, focus. When you turn on an incandescent light, it flashes, and light photons go all over the place, scatter, and they fill the room with light. But they don't accomplish anything other than lighting the room. Whereas if you focus that light, make it coherent so that all the waves and all the photons are going in the same direction, what you've got is a laser beam that can cut through metal, that can cut through walls, that can destroy barriers. And that's what you want to do if you're going to take on the role of being a spiritual being who is to help elevate this world, to help elevate humanity, to help elevate us out of this morass of negative thinking and money grabbing and destroying everything around us, burning the forest, polluting the world. All those things don't have to happen. We can be prosperous. There can be riches. Riches are always there. There is abundance. But the way it is done, if we can do it through love, if we can do it through spirituality, if we can do it by focusing our hearts rather than our heads, focusing our hearts in consciousness, then we can elevate the world. We can settle that storm that is going on around us, the storm that is ripping us apart with disease, that storm that is destroying our economy, that storm that is taking away our jobs. That can be cured not by chemicals. Chemicals are going to do their job, but not by chemicals. Our power lies in our hearts. Our power lies in our ability to focus our love and our hearts for the sake of humanity to elevate us. And that takes discipline. That takes focus. That takes praying. Remember, we pray continuously. By praying, by meditating, and by keeping ourselves focused. Focused on love. Focused on love. Focused on love, so that we can elevate not only ourselves, but the world as well. Because as I elevate, then those around me are going to be elevated by my influence, and they in turn will elevate others who are around them. So let's pay attention to love. Let's pay attention to love. Meditate. Pray. Be at peace. Be still. Peace. Be still. Peace. Be still.